Hey, this is Nick and Gage with Connect Lax, and we're here to talk about compliance. So every time I talk to parents and players, one thing always comes up, and it's compliance. You know, guidelines with NCAA and contacting you. So it might as well be rocket science. It's crazy. You know, Division 1, 2, 3, MCLA, WCLA, NAIA, NJCAA, they all abide by their own rules, and some of them even overlap, which makes it more confusing. So you could spend hours pulling your hair out, sifting through, you know, manuals and recruiting calendars, and this thing's so thick you like beat somebody up with it. But the good news for you is that I took the time and did that for you, and I managed to maintain all my hair, thankfully. So
his luscious locks are intact, I can report.
Thankfully. So, moving on.
So, you know, you mentioned a couple acronyms. So we all know the NCAA, obviously, but, you know, we may be less familiar with the MCLA, the WCLA, the NJCAA, and the NAIA. Can you talk about those?
Right. So Gage actually played MCLA, and that stands for the Men's Collegiate Lacrosse Association, and that's comprised of about 200 teams and 10 divisions.
And there's actually, two different divisions, a high and a low, and then the conferences within that. We have a whole separate video about the MCLA, so if you're interested in that, just check that video out because we talk about the experience.
Right. So WCLA is the MCLA except for women, and then there's the NJCAA, which is the National Junior Collegiate Athletic Association, and then there's the NAIA, which stands for the National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics, which mainly comprise of small to mid-sized schools.
Yeah, and again, those are Division II schools is how you could think of that. So, you know, it's all a little bit confusing. For a player, you know, how do you know when a coach can contact you?
Right. So, starting with the two most confusing divisions that have the most restrictions on their guidelines, Division 1 and Division 2. So Division 1, they cannot contact you until September 1st of your junior year. So you can contact the coach all you want, but they can respond only with informational material that does not initiate the recruiting process. So for Division 2, they can't contact you until June 1st or June 15th of your junior year. So with Division 3, MCLA, WCLA, NJCAA, there are no restrictions on the recruiting guidelines. So they can contact you and you can contact them whenever. But with the NAIA, they can't contact you until you enter your first year of high school.
Yeah, so to go further into detail, we do have a free recruiting guide that you can download from our website. It has the whole recruiting calendar laid out for you. The other thing is we've actually built compliance flags into our system so that if you do email a coach that at the Division 1 or Division 2 level, based on what the date is in your graduation year, you know, we'll flag what your eligibility is to protect both you and the college coach.
Right.
So, you know, what's interesting is with, you know, we hear about the freshmen and sophomores, the underclassmen that are committing. And again, this is a small subset of the total number of players that commit, but obviously, you know, a subset that we hear a lot about. You know, how do they get around this? Like, wouldn't they have to speak with a college coach?
Right. So that's always the confusing part. And just like taxes, there are some loopholes in the system. But with that, you know, college coaches can speak with your club or high school coach regarding the recruiting process. And, you know, that's how the younger players that are younger than junior year are committing verbally. But with these verbal commitments, they are not binding, which means that any coach or player can back out at any time. But with that, if you do back out, you're going to have a black mark on you. And since the lacrosse community is so tightly knit, you know, that's not going to work out well for anybody.
And especially if you're like a specialty position like a FOGO or a goalie, it can have a really adverse effect on that coach's recruiting class.
Right.
So, you know, you really want to, you know, feel like you're all in when you do commit verbally. You know, obviously it's not binding like a national letter of intent, but it's still very important, and the college coach is going to base his whole recruitment going forward based on that commitment. So
right.
Another thing is, you know, you talked about how they follow up with the club coach. You know, when our recruits email college coaches through our system, you know, we lay out that club coach information right there, because what often happens in practicality is that they get your email, view your information, see your video, and then they follow up with your club coach to start the dialogue.
Right, exactly.
So, you know, let's move forward. What does all this mean for me as a player?
Great question. So what you should be doing is just utilizing online resources to really start to find schools that fit you. So, for example, we have our free college matching service. It covers all the way from club to Division I schools, and you can use that to really start doing your research. This also means working closely with your club or high school coach to refine and narrow your list of schools that fit you on and off the field. So, you know, we understand the recruiting process, and it is intimidating sometimes, but, you know, we wish you the best of luck. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for other videos to help you throughout the recruiting process.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.
And girls.